Hey everyone, so this week's video is actually going to piggyback off of last week's video where we went to Universal Studios, and it's going to be a more informative video than I usually do, just because I've had several people ask me since we've been back if I thought that they should cancel their 2020 trip to Disney World or to Universal Studios, or should they wait till next year, or what should they do? And honestly, the answer that I've been telling people is I don't know. It depends on what you want to do. What I would like to do is to give you just kind of a brief summary of what we experienced, because what we experienced at Universal will be very similar to what Disney is going to do. So let's dive into our trip, and hopefully it helps you decide what's best for you and your family. Right now, masks are going to be required wherever you go in a theme park setting. So Universal Studios, Disney World, Busch Gardens, Legoland, SeaWorld, all of those places are going to require masks when they reopen. And for us, we used like the surgical mask for the first part of the trip, and then I actually bought one of Universal's masks and used that for the rest of the trip. And both of them were not great. The mask is pretty uncomfortable. I just rode the Mummy, and even the Mummy didn't bring relief to my face because you still have to wear the mask on the ride. So I don't really know how people are gonna stand to do this when it gets like really hot in the summer. I did hear that those like gator masks that are really thin, people said that those were the most comfortable for them, so maybe that's true. There is, so far that I know of, no perfect unnoticeable mask to actually wear when you go. So if you go, prepare to be uncomfortable in a mask. It was worth it for the first few days, but the first few days we were there were overcast. Welcome to Universal Studios! You might get wet! I remember thinking when we left, I don't want to come back if they're still requiring us to wear masks, because at the end of the trip it wasn't worth it to me, but at the beginning of the trip I wouldn't have said that, so I think I was just tired of it. I had had my fill of it and it was enough. Number two, social distancing is very much a thing. I honestly think this will be the last measure to go away, if it ever goes away, because I think the masks will go away. I think they will eventually not require guests to wear masks, but I don't know if the social distancing will ever completely go away. I hope it does, because it is inconvenient. A team member at Universal Studios said that the parks never exceeded, or maybe even never reached, 10% park capacity. So that means that once the parks get back to their normal capacity, the lines will be much longer, because not only are you social distancing in lines, they're social distancing the ride vehicles themselves. If you are seated on a ride, your party cannot be within a row of a different party. So that means that on some rides, it was every other row that was seated. Empty seats means longer lines. Longer lines means you might not even get to ride the rides because they cut off the lines at some point to say no more people can stand here because we can't fit any more people spaced out in the line anymore. We didn't reach that point because, like I said, it was only at 10% capacity, but I think once people start going back, it will be much more difficult to actually keep that in place. While we were there, because of the social distancing, we saw a major shift to mobile technology, mobile ordering, and mobile lines. If you're not comfortable navigating your phone to get around the park, then that might be a huge indicator that this year isn't a great year for you to go, because that was a huge part of how you paid for your food if you went and sat down at a restaurant. Not even like a waiter restaurant, but just a quick service, a place that you would usually normally go to a register to order. Now you have to do it on your phone and submit the order, and then they bring your food to your table. It was kind of inconvenient sometimes because the app would crash. There was one instance where we tried to order food in Islands of Adventure, but my phone and the app wouldn't recognize that I was in Islands of Adventure, so it kept telling me that I had to be in the park to order the food. And because of that, I had to go to an actual register and order face-to-face with someone, which I didn't care. It was just an inconvenience, but it's just a sign that they still have a few bugs to work out with their app, because Universal is pretty new to this. Disney's been mobile ordering and mobile fast passing for a very long time now, but Universal is still pretty new to all of this, and it shows. I think when Disney opens back up, they'll probably have a pretty good handle on how that works, but it's still an issue of you might not get to ride the ride that you want to go see. And in line with that, because of the social distancing, Disney and Universal both have canceled their large gathering events, like fireworks at night for Disney and parades at Disney and Universal. All of those are canceled. Now, Universal's found a way around that by just driving the floats around sporadically. I would imagine Disney does something similar to that. Something that was definitely a plus for me was the meet and greets. I honestly didn't think that I would like the new setup for the meet and greets, but because the characters were farther away and you couldn't actually touch or interact with them, you can't have signed autographs with them, it actually made the line move much, much faster, so that we almost never waited to actually talk to someone. I think we had 12 or 13 character interactions where we just stood and had a conversation with them.
You want to talk to SpongeBob? Do you use them to clean yourself with? Oh, Patrick, are you related to Patrick? SpongeBob, again, you're about the gentleman named Bob who sells sponges. Yeah, it's Bob, your uncle. Cheers, have a nice day.
Okay, knock knock.
Who's there?
Owls.
Owls who?
They certainly do all the time.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye, see you later. Bye, Desmond.
I don't know what Disney's gonna do. I would imagine it would be something similar to that, and I really enjoyed that part of it. Number 4, lodging. Hopefully this is not a major issue for anyone else besides us, but when we pulled into Orlando, we pulled into the parking lot for our hotel and there was a security guard there who said, "You're not staying here tonight because this hotel has been indefinitely shut down." That was news to us. I received no email or phone calls, so I had to call the front desk and they said, "Yeah, this hotel is not operating, so you need to go to this different hotel that's our sister hotel." And it was a nicer hotel, but I hope that that's not a sign of a trend that will happen because of the lack of tourism in Orlando. But just be prepared. If you do have a hotel that's booked outside of Disney property and Universal property, you could face a similar situation where you show up and they say, "Oops, not this hotel, you're going to this other hotel." And number 5, as of right now, the surrounding businesses are still in the process of reopening. Universal Studios was one of the first major attractions to open, so it would make sense that a lot of other businesses still were not fully operational. However, one of my main stops for every Orlando trip is the Disney Character Warehouse. And if you don't know about the Disney Character Warehouse and you are a Disney fan and you go to Orlando, you should know about the Disney Character Warehouse because it's discounted Disney Parks merchandise. So it's either out-of-date stuff that they need to get rid of, or it's things like from the cruise lines, or just things that they had too many of and they didn't sell in the park, so now they're discounted at this store. And there's 2 of them, one on International Drive and one right across from Disney Springs. They both have the same things for the most part. I just automatically assumed that they would be open because all of the Disney stores around the country are open and the World of Disney at Disney Springs was open, but the Character Warehouse was still closed and it broke my heart. Stores are still in the reopening phase, so if you're planning to go within the next few weeks, you might face that same problem, but if you're planning your trip later in the year, those stores will most likely be open. So there you have it. That's my list of factors that you should consider when planning your trip this year. Like I said, everyone's different. If it's your first time going to Disney or Universal, this trip might not be the one to take because you're going to be missing out on a lot of the main draw activities, like the fireworks and the parades and the character meet and greets. But if you don't care about those things, if you're just in it for the rides and the food and the atmosphere, then maybe this year would be a great year for you to go because the crowds probably will be lower. So I hope this helps. I know this video is a little different, but ultimately, maybe it's still Major Monday happy to know these things. And if there's something that I didn't address that you would like for me to address, just leave a comment and ask a question and hopefully I'll be able to answer as best I can. With that being said, I hope you guys have a great week and I will see y'all later. Bye.